Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Gunther, the Headless Headhunter, and I am here to help out. Uh, I'm here to explain the job market, any questions you have, the troubles you've been having in the recruitment space, anything you may need. I'm here to help with as long as it involves to getting a job. Right now, again, I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it probably till January. We are in these slow times for jobs. You are probably not going to get as much responses until realistically going to be mid January, early February. This is normal. It is not good. It's not great, but it is very, very normal for this time of year. And then you're going to have a flood of jobs most likely in the mid January to early February. How is my internet connection today? I've had to do a couple of things, and I wonder who we've got in chat right now. Let's see, it should be good. I may need to go and fiddle with the router again, which hopefully will not be a problem. I am going to be moving in a month, and I'm going to be getting a different internet service, which is definitely not this. How goes it, everybody? Who do we have in chat? Right now, I'm just going to read out some questions. Nobody has submitted a resume that they would like to have reviewed yet. But, as soon as they do, or as soon as anybody has any other question, I'd be glad to help out. So, all right. So, recruiter job interview. I've been asked this question in so many interviews. Two of those interviews have turned into jobs, but I still don't know if I managed to. How would you recruit for a job you've never hired for or worked for? That's a pretty good question, actually, to ask recruiters, but I feel like that's more of a question to ask experienced recruiters. I'm not sure if someone who hasn't recruited before would understand that. My background is technical, but I've dabbled in healthcare. I look at the current employees' profiles and job postings of competitors. I would make note of overlapping skills. I will look to see what schools and programs. Uh, I don't think that's a bad answer to that question. I think a probably better answer is you need to find out what the manager is looking for, because even in highly specific things, the manager may be looking for something completely different than the normal. Um, you shouldn't have too. So that is the first stage. Is you need to figure out like what the heck the manager wants, because they're the one who's actually going to be making the decisions. And once you know what the manager wants, then you can help out and actually find what they want. You can do a Boolean search. You could look at easily transferable across skills. You can find those out typically with a quick Google search. Honestly, that's how you can do it a lot. Is like, is X related to Y? And if it's close enough, sometimes that's good enough for the manager. You can do Boolean searches with the manager. That was a good technique as well. Which, if any other recruiter is hearing this, you should absolutely steal that. It works wonders. But I don't think this is a bad answer. I just don't think it is the best answer. I would learn what the job is by talking to the people in the role. That's definitely a good idea if you have the time, but I'm not sure most recruiters would have that time unless it's agency. So, um, can people hear me? I do want to make sure, because I am not sure if I am actually recording or not. I may have to go and shut something else off on the computer just to see if it'll work. So, because nobody is in chat. Just want to make sure, can y'all hear me? That is the most important question. So, let's see if that is actually a thing that can happen. Um, all right, it looks like. Oh, okay. I have been something. Oh no. Uh, what about now, Omni? Okay, it looks like it is now working. Okay, cool. Looks like there was a pretty big lag. I think I needed to reset my modem earlier. Uh, so yeah, step one is to make sure you know what the manager wants, because it doesn't matter if you're doing a software engineering role or a nurse or some manufacturing. The manager is the one who makes the decision, and you need to find out from them. Uh, yeah, I think you're stepping past a mention of your intake call. I think that is a phenomenal point. That is where you would get this information. So, how recruiters get jobs is we will typically just have an intake call with the manager. We will schedule a meeting and be like, hey, what do you need, bro? Uh, Obviously, it is a bit more detailed than that, but that is the short answer. Is we just ask the manager and we say, hey, you know, have you ever had an opening on your team before? Like, do you know the recruitment process at your own company? Which they change that a lot, and some managers may not, especially some of the really, like, you could have a manager that hasn't needed to hire somebody for 4 years. They probably don't know, um, what the process is at their company because it's probably changed every year. So you should definitely ask managers. This is probably not related to anybody unless you're a recruiter, but if you're first time meeting a manager, you need to ask when was the last time they hired, because the difference between I hired 3 months ago and I hired 13 years ago is massive, and we do that in the intake call. So uh, because that's the only way to really know. You have to ask the people. Recruiting is, well, asking. We ask a lot of questions. Also, I think there's still some lag, so give me a second. I am going to try to fix that. I have an idea. I want to see if this works. All right. I hope that worked. Uh, I think I fixed it. Yep, nope, bitrate's good. Apparently, all I need to do is move my router about an inch, and that makes a massive difference. So it should be clear now. Cool. So, yeah, this is how you would answer this question in recruiting, and that probably will never be related to anything y'all personally do because I know there's not a lot of recruiters in this chat, but hey, that's the industry, and it's a little how the sausage is made in recruiting is it almost always starts with an intake of the manager. If you do not do an intake unless you have worked with them previously, you're going to be in for a bad time. It rarely works out to just go by text or anything. You don't want to just email. You want to actually meet with the manager just so you could ask them some back and forth questions. Otherwise, again, it doesn't end well. You're probably going to send candidates and they'll be like, this isn't what I wanted. And bad stuff happens. How can I be more likable for my interview? Um, I mean, likable. Yeah, likable is sort of a word, but you want to make sure you hit the you want. I think likable is not quite the way you want to do it. Obviously, you want to be likable, but like being likable is a little bit difficult for some people. You want to make sure you're not causing problems. That is your goal. Is your goal is to solve their problem, not cause problems. Don't be a jerk. Yeah, that's actually a very good one. Don't be a jerk. Um, I will say some people you want to be assertive, but not aggressive. So there is a fine line, and a lot of people there is passive, then there is assertive, and then there is aggressive. You want to be right in the middle. You want to be assertive. Being assertive is great. But this is a spectrum. Imagine it like a line on a gas tank or the miles per hour in a car. If you go too much, you're going to be aggressive and you're going to be a jerk. You go too little, you're going to be passive and then you're going to get rolled over. You want to be assertive, not aggressive, not passive, assertive. And most people will tend to go for, they'll either be like lean towards one or the other. I don't know which you should lean towards or not, but you want to aim to be assertive. Being assertive is what you really want to be in a corporate environment. If you get passive, you will probably get too much work laid on you and you're going to suffer. And if you are aggressive, you will probably get laid off and nobody will like you. So be assertive. And I know a lot of some like influence and everything is like, you need to be aggressive. Like, no, you need to be assertive. Assertive is stating what you can and cannot do without trampling over others. For an example, and this actually happened to me, and let's say your boss says, hey, Gunther, I have 200,000 recs I need filled by Wednesday. I would say, if I was passive, I would just say yes, which would end up probably getting me fired because there's no physical way anybody could do 200,000 recs like that. Being assertive would be something like, unfortunately, my current rec load is high, and I will not be able to help with that without harming the customer. That's assertive. Aggressive would be, screw you, boss. Don't want to be that. So you want to be assertive. And this will help in interviews as well, because typically, if people are assertive, people will like them. And if someone keeps trampling over you when you be assertive and not aggressive, that could be a problem and someone you potentially don't want to work for. But a lot of people have trouble essentially figuring out where they are in this, in passive, assertive, and aggressive, because again, it is sort of like a speedometer in a car, is that you have to work to get it in that exact, not too slow, not too fast, to be assertive and not aggressive. And that is the first stage to be likable, is you should be assertive. The next stage is you absolutely want to make sure to try to figure out what the manager wants. What is the manager's current problem? Why do they have this role? You want to make sure that you are solving their problems and not creating more problems. So, and if you try to say, oh, I can solve everything, and you overhype yourself, which could be something from being too passive, but saying, yes, I can do everything, even though you may not be able to, you're sort of borrowing from your future, and you're going to create a problem in the future. So that is how that person should act, and how to be more likable, is know what they want, make sure the way you are saying things is going to solve problems and not create problems, and do your best to be assertive. So that is the secret to likability. I mean, there's a ton more, but mainly because every person is different and it's going to depend on who you're interviewing with, but that is a broadly good one. Okay, now not broadly good is this resume. All right, let's see if I'm doing this clip feature. So I'm gonna do a resume roast, which seems fun, I hope. All right, so this person is not getting any, interviews. I need some advice on how to better my resume. First off, this is really, really, really not a great resume. This whole bar over here shouldn't exist. This profile section shouldn't really exist. Experienced administrative professional with a background in customer service, this doesn't say anything. You don't want to do this. This says nothing. You want to X this profile out. Which means after you X this profile, after this, you're left with these three. And that's much what we could actually work with, because there's not as much content in here because the other stuff is taking out. So take all that stuff out, and then we do this one. Effectively manage playable claims for grocery audit team, resulting in accurate process of approved deductions and thorough investigation of denials through internal systems. That is not actually a bad first sentence. I don't know if that really says a lot. I think you could maybe simplify that more. And then the second one is enhance vendor relationships by maintaining consistent communication. That doesn't say anything. Promptly addressing inquiries, I guess, but there's nothing to measure that by, skillfully resolving payback disputes and securing documentation for outstanding claims. I mean, I don't think these are going to be keywords, but maybe they are, which isn't bad, but it also doesn't. There's no metrics. We need some metrics. So, Brab21, your quick resume roast is you need to get rid of the profile section. You need to get rid of this entire purple section and move that into the resume. You probably want to put your education is good where it is, and then you want to be more descriptive in your opening sentence, and then every other sentence should be a keyword that's going to be in some of the job descriptions that you were applying to, or alternatively going to be a brag. And make sure to make it very clear, because this isn't clear about how you are better than the others for this. And that is a resume roast, which I hope I clipped right. So, only had 2 interviews, and I updated my resume in September. Yeah, that's not great. So, I wonder what other people are saying. To improve readability, I suggest you consider a 1-column resume. Yep, that is correct. Trim your profile to 1 to 2 lines of text. I wouldn't do this, personally. You need to basically shoot out your resume in enough for a volume, and changing it for every job description is going to be exhausting. And you want to do it for speed too, because sometimes the faster you are in applying, the easier it is for you to get an interview. Primarily because if 100 people apply, they may not look through all 100. They may only look for the first 25. So you don't want to do that, because you're going to be taking time to redo your resume, and then all of a sudden you're going to be number 70 to apply, and it doesn't matter how good you are if your resume never gets looked at, because they've already made a hire. So I would completely X out the profile. I wouldn't do what this person says. Reverse your experience bullet points by putting the impact first to shorten them. Increased X by Y%, doing Z using software tool A and B. Yep, this one's good. This one's phenomenal. 100% this one. Decreased X by using Y. Yep. Create an introduced starting. Yep, this one's good. I disagree with their point 2, but their point 3 is excellent, and I fully agree. If you don't have accomplished what you expect with a number of percentages, tailor your bullet points to stand out to the reader by avoiding listing your routine expected duties. Focus on listing examples. Yeah, I think this is good. Completed end of month accounting by the rest. Stayed home with the flu. That's too descriptive, but I do like it. Trim your skills section. Only mention technical skills. Yeah, primarily. But I still don't even like a skills section in the first place. I mean, they can definitely be useful, but you don't want to use them as a crutch. Omit your hobbies list. I actually disagree with that one a little bit. I think if the hobbies list is at the very tail end of a resume, that's not going to hurt your chances that much. There is actually times when especially for new grads, where hobby list has gotten me to be able to send them to a manager, because they may not have had the actual experience, but their hobby was not close enough, but related enough that I could probably go into it. So I wouldn't omit the hobbies. I wouldn't put them front and center. I'd put them at the very, very bottom of the resume. But, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and if the manager sees that on the resume, it may not help you get an interview, but it is something they could talk about. If they say, I play Dungeons and Dragons, oh, I play too. I definitely know that it could probably potentially hurt you if they dislike your hobby, but I think your chances of it being better than not is okay to have that. Largely, it's probably not going to get seen, but if it does, there's a chance it could help. Because if you're into kayaking, and they like kayaking, the manager will actually probably like you more. And that would stand a chance of you getting the job. So I have never had a single person who played anything like video games or D&D. Counterpoint, do you just not know that they play those? Because that's not something that would ever normally come up. And I don't suggest you bring it up unless they ask about your hobbies. But I have said musicals before, and I have actually gotten to a mini conversation with somebody about musicals. So, hobbies make you more memorable. it's less memorable, and this is the likability thing. A manager is probably going to like you more if you share their hobbies. This is not something you can do tactically. There's no way to do it, but you want to play the odds. And if you put hobbies that are actually interesting to you and they end up going to the bottom of that and they have the same hobbies, that could help. Is that likely? No, absolutely not likely, but it can help in some rare situations. I'd mentioned gaming, Valorant as part of my hobbies. Yeah, and I don't think that's bad. Again, they're probably archery is cool. That's a cool hobby. Sorry, Omni Beard wins in hobbies. And I play video games too. Archery is awesome. I tried it once and then I put it in the wrong thing and I snapped the string hard as heck on my hand. Ironically, I've kind of had no more time to play Valorant for my job. Yeah, that could be pretty bad. That stinks. Archery is cool though. Yeah, this is not going to be that often that it happens. Again, this is like a 1 in 100. But if there are a couple of hobbies and they're not all the same, that could potentially help. Like if it's building cars and your manager built cars, they may make talk about that. There's actually a case where you know what? No, there was a person who, as a hobby, they built cars. The manager wanted somebody who worked with their hands and could build things, and that actually put them to the pile because he literally, his hobby was exactly what the manager stated. So it is possible your hobbies can actually get you a position. Again, they should be at the very bottom of the resume. You should not put them at the very top or in the side, but there's a small chance it can work. Yesterday I slept off at 7 p.m. and woke up today morning. Dang, that is a lot, but also good sleep. How do I tell people that I am into expensive watches? What part of the expensive watches are you into? Are you into making them, or are you into just like collecting them as a hobby? Because I actually know somebody who makes custom watches. From like they repurpose old pocket watches into wrist watches. Also, the fact that most engineering people, like, I feel like, are super into watches. So I feel like that is a pretty common thing. So an alternative unit to me is a What is a horologist? But yeah, I would still seriously put your hobbies up. Unless you think those hobbies are like socially scorned, like you don't want to put like I kick pets as a hobby. Also, please don't do that. That's horrible. But you want to make sure your hobby is socially acceptable to a degree. Video games is fine. Dungeons and Dragons is fine. But don't get like way 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 weird with it. You want to put, if you're doing your hobbies, you want to make them broad enough that even if it's not the exact niche that you are into, somebody who is similar to it may comment on it. Is the art of watchmaking. Okay. Uh, I had the option. It should have been watchology. That's what it should have been. But yeah, I do definitely know someone who makes essentially repurposes old watches, and it's really cool. They showed me the collection. Sorry, old pocket watches into wrist watches. So, let's see. Why do you not? I don't like it. HORS is not descriptive of watches. I am aware that it's probably some kind of Latin word that means exactly what it says, but I wanted to say something like watchology or a clockology or something or timeology, but horology is that hurts my brain. Are you supposed to tell your boss when you have an interview? Oh, eh, that's in this case, I understand because they already put in their 2 weeks notice. That's fair. I hate you, Omni. I hate you with a burning passion, but also respect your trolling. Uh, let's see. Ooh, that one is sad and probably not something I can help with. Uh, During all this commotion, I put in for sick days Monday, Wednesday afternoon is when things got worse. Here, I might not remember to add additional tips, but that's not. But that boss is a jerk. Like, an understanding boss would be like, "Here, we're talking with HR, and we're switching that to put in PTO." That's ridiculous. This person just was looking for an excuse to fire him. That sucks. Let's see. Get paid $30 an hour to write code from home. That's actually not that much for coding. Coding, that's 60K a year, give or take, which is actually some of the minimum you'll get from a coding job. Um, that 30 an hour to write code from home is not much. Is the derivative of hour in Greek. Okay, hourology. That's how we're calling it, is hourology. Uh, I'm saying that. Also, it has been a really tough week, and next week is going to be pretty long, so you're going to get some really shortened and some low energy streams. So, just a warning for all of y'all while I get some other stuff worked up, because I am moving next month, and I have to prepare for that. And that takes a lot, along with the normal stuff and some other things of the holidays. So, let's see. Just play D&D on stream. I beat Baldur's Gate. I mean, I don't know if I actually want to play video games. I'm gonna say this now, and this may come back to haunt me. I'm not sure I super want to play a ton of video games on stream because, like, I can definitely like talk while playing them, but I actually kind of prefer to be like dead silent while playing video games, and that's not a great content. But I also don't want to. I don't want to like I don't know what is like workify everything. So I want a very clear cut. This is Gunther when he relaxes, and this is Gunther when he's on. So, but Baldur's Gate 3 was awesome. You know what? I will say Baldur's Gate 3. If Larian Studios, who I'm a big fan of from Divinity 1, Divinity 2, and they made Baldur's Gate 3, ever wanted me to do some tests for their games, I would love that. Heck, I would love to hire for them. I huge fan. I played Divinity 1, Original Sin, Divinity 2, and Baldur's Gate 3. Those three games have been some of my amazing best games I've ever played. So, what IT career is best for somebody with Asperger's? That's a loaded question. Any less focus on communication? I would say almost any position that you have, unless you are, it's a physical labor position, you're gonna have to learn communication. I don't think any position is going to have, well, non-communication, especially in corporate. Most of it is communication, so you're gonna have to get a bunch of positions with communication. Um, that said, Asperger's autism is a very, very wide spectrum, but there's definitely people that work with it in corporate. So IT low level is not a recluse job. Yeah, you'll talk with tons of folk. That's highly accurate. You're gonna talk with everybody. IT layer is okayish. I thought that said orcish, and the arch insulated. Yep, that's pretty accurate. Some of the higher up positions where they just put somebody in a room and they code, but arguably, if you're going to be in a corporate environment, you're going to communicate with people, and no matter what position you do, 9 times out of 10. Let's see. I think that communication is key for IT. Yeah, agreed. And most other positions, like I don't know of a position in a corporate where you don't talk with people. Maybe like the mailroom person. Assuming I don't think those even exist anymore. The mailroom one people. So I think the bigger problem for them is face to face communication. That's what they mean to say. That's an Urshian post on our college. Yeah, saw the our college one, and I'm moving past it. But yeah, you're gonna have to learn to communicate, and that I would say that is the biggest skill, is to learn people skills for any corporate environment, because you will be working with people, and each and every corporate environment is going to have a structure of how it works, and you need to understand how that structure works. Where the communication goes to, what you can and cannot do. Those are very, very important things. Uh, let's see. I recently just went to mobile customer care. I need help. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Brain. All right. Last year in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, I got a rejection email. Bro. Who was sending it on Thanksgiving is rejecting them for an internal role? Unless it's like the 3 day delay, because I worked with places that had 3 day delays. So, because I know in some. Oh no, ads. Yep. Sorry. I do know in some positions, in some recruiting jobs, they do actually have like delays on when you send it out. So you can decline somebody. I'm just gonna pop in a. I'll wait for the ads to come back. So this person was saying last year in the middle of Thanksgiving, I got a rejection email. It was for a job at Interview War. This can happen. Uh, Update your settings. Yeah, they do have this. This is 100% accurate. I've worked in companies that have this where you can click a button and it will send an email of rejection to them in a certain amount of time. Typically, for ours, it was set for like 3 days. So you reject them on Monday and then they'd get it on Thursday. Um, this, I am sort of on two minds about this thing, because on one hand you're making somebody wait for an artificial reason, which is not good. Um, and any time in recruiting there is a wait, people get anxious and nervous and stressed out, and I do not like that. On the other hand, currently in most recruiting things, we're not really able to give feedback about why somebody failed a job. People ask us for feedback, but we can't really give it. HR pretty much says no, and typically the answer is just someone did what you did, but better, even if you did very well. And sending a rejection email 30 minutes or less after someone's interview would is definitely psychologically damaging, but also may not give them closure, or like will maybe just make them more upset. So, and in that cases, I can understand the use of making a delay, because there are definitely times when a manager said, "Yeah, they definitely didn't have any of the skills," and then someone would message me back like, "Hey, you know, what did I not have?" And it's like, none of the skills. They say I have skills. I'm like, I can't make that decision. Um, so I'm not a big fan of the delay, especially because you get issues like this where you could send somebody and it hits it on Thanksgiving. So that's pretty bad. But I do know that it's a big psychological hit to just have somebody take an interview and then 5 minutes after it's over get a rejection email. And it may be for something they haven't even been able to control. So it's pretty brutal. And again, I am on two minds of it. So there are definitely things where I'm like, yeah, that's good, and others like, no, I don't like that. So I definitely lean more about to give people as much immediate feedback as you can. So which, because I know people think that recruiters spend all day wondering how we can hurt people, but there are a lot of discussions we have of what is the best way to reject somebody and not hurt them as much. There are a lot of discussions in recruiting on both how to deal with managers and recruiters and candidates of how do we let people down easy? What is the least psychological damaging? Those conversations do get bandied about a bit, and sometimes you can actually get stuff done in recruiting. If you're like, look, this person is going to be super crazy upset because this is so beyond process. Can we get an exception? But there's not really an easy way when 90% of, well, I wouldn't say 90%, but when out of 100 resumes, only one person's getting the job. So it can be pretty brutal, and we want to know how to make it not as bad. But there is only a limit to what we can do. So that is, again, the how recruiters can think, is that we do actually try to make it less bad for people, but there's a limit to how less bad we can always give a rejection. So, uh, see. I know there's going to be a lot of people on LinkedIn, but man, it's probably not going to get a lot of positions until January, February. And I hope people don't take that too personally, because like it's just going to happen. almost every industry slows down. There'll be like a couple more jobs in the first week of December, and then you're probably not going to get much. And even if you do, it's just everybody's on vacation. So it's a nightmare for job seekers. But on the plus side, it's a paradise for job seekers in February, in theory, because that's when a lot of the jobs go in. And if there's not a lot of the jobs, then that's bad. That's not good at all. So, right. So I'm just trying to find some like interesting things that I could help with. Do you read resumes? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, yes, I read resumes longer than one page. I will typically do a uh, 8 to 12-second scan of the resume. And if something catches my eye, I will dig deeper unless you were previously qualified. What? Unless uh, dig a little deeper. So, I think that's about usually all the time you have for. So, otherwise, there's just too many resumes. And the ATS systems are taking forever. Like my current one, it can take up to like 45 seconds to reject somebody, which I know you're like, wow, Gunther, how callous. And you're right, that stinks. But again, when you have 100 people apply for a job, only one of them is going to get it. And the longer it takes me to go through this position to reject people, the less quick feedback I get from the others. So ATS system is definitely tough when it takes forever to actually reject somebody when you caught that they did not have the experience in the first 10 seconds and you have 100 for that job and you have 20 other jobs you need to get through. I really wish ATSs actually worked. They are human resource management systems do not make good ATSs, and I have yet to meet one that will prove me wrong. So, right. Dang, college, why you keep sending me that one? Let's see. Change of job. Any advice on the Wow, that's a terrible resume. Um, oh my gosh, what is this? High school graduate. Oh, this is the first one. Okay. Old Navy brand. This is not. You know what? The availability is nice, but not needed. Uh, this is everything about this is wrong. Mainly because this is the only part that's like needed. Um, the other stuff isn't really useful. Uh, yes, but okay. Wow. All right. A few notes. Move availability. Remove 1 year. I mean, this is no one going to contest the fact that the previous experience is like everything about this is wrong. Oh no, ads. It's a sign, Gunther. Do a rapid fire. All right, give me a second. I need to like take a drink of water. All right. Rapid fire resume review. Here we go. So, everything is wrong with this resume. I hate to say it. First off, the contact information should be at the very top, not in this format. Second off, the education should also be there. Second, you don't need the profile, does not help. Availability, while cool, doesn't help for this. Your key skills are not key skills. None of these mean basically anything. Your previous experience should actually be in like the center of the page. So, like, it should look kind of like this, Old Navy, and then you need to format it. Your resume is not formatted 2023 to, let's say, December 2022 to January 2023. You want it to look closer to this, but different font, because this is not going to do it. The only thing that is actually relevant in your resume is the previous experience. Also, you need to describe what you do as if you were speaking to someone in fourth grade for the first bullet. Then, for every other one, you need to do while you were a brag or a keyword. These do not work. Instead of building relationships with customer for a positive in store, say, made top five customer feedback report of January by upselling and building rapport with with whatever clients, candidates, whatever you call them in there. It's been a while since I've done this time. When you're a crew member of McDonald's, also put the months. You need to put the months. Managers need the months. Church volunteers, fine, keep that. This is the resume review, and that is rapid fire. I'm Gunther, the Headless Headhunter, here to help y'all get a job. And that is that person. I think I clipped it, so yeah, there we go. Someone wants to share that with them. That everything is wrong, and these comments are not remove the availability. Yes, but that's not the worst. This is everything about this is wrong. I'm so sorry. Jeez Louise. Ditto with this availability. Oh, okay. This is better. Dude, whoever, I'm giving them a like. Yo, this is a lot of work they put to type this out. Holy crap. No, this dude is mostly right, but I want to see what they're doing on their bullets. What the other said of availability, clean the layout, to get the payout. Yep, good. Thank you, Specialist Banana. So far, you're so good. Old Navy brand, employing effective past tense. You want to make it past tense. Employed effective upselling techniques, showcasing in-depth product knowledge and actively. I don't want that as the first one. I would say, what did you do? I get it. Old Navy brand associate. You're going to be in the. I'm assuming you're just a sales associate, but you gotta make it so descriptive. And I would say, as an Old Navy associate, I sold merchandise through upselling. Upselling kept the store clean and worked the cash register to reduce lines. Something like that. That's mid, but you could even do it better than that. Oh, hey, Maslow. Why do some recruiters say they don't care about months and just put years? Okay, so here's why. Even if it's present, even if you're still there, you just want it all to be in past tense. I know grammatically it doesn't make sense for that, but you still want to do an omni. So Maslow, here's why. And my previous one of my previous managers told me this, and it stuck with me. If you put, let's say hypothetically, someone worked from 2022 to 2023. That means a lot. What it could be is they worked from January 2022 to say, let's say December 2023. I'm aware that hasn't happened yet. Just for the sake of the exercise, this is what we're going, which is going to be about brain. Yeah, about 2 years. I know it's a little bit less, but it's 2 years, give or take. Or what they could have been is they could have worked from December 2022 to January 2023. 1 month. Even though this could be both of those or anywhere in between. And you should always assume that the manager is going to think, if you did not put the months, that you've only worked a month instead of 2 years. The exception to this is if you have 8 years experience. It doesn't really matter then. But if you have a year or two, or even 3, you need to put the months. Because again, 2022 to 2023 could be about 2 years, or it could be 1 month. And the manager is always assumed they will go with the worst option. So you do definitely want to put the months. Again, an exception to that, because for every rule there's 100 exceptions in recruiting. That is one of the rules. If you've worked from say 2015 to 2023, you don't need the months. I would say, even if you shorten it, that's between 8 years. So, but I would say anything less than 5, put the months. If possible, just put the months regardless. It also helps the defense in the thing. If they say, why did you leave? You say, during October 2022, there was that giant layoff at X company. And it also helps because if you put it on your LinkedIn, then you have those for the rest of your life. Because I don't fully remember what months I worked at 10 years ago, but I do have it on my LinkedIn, so I don't need to. So it's always beneficial to put the months. again, there's even in the exceptions, I would say still probably put the months. Yeah, hope that made sense. So, hey, glad you could join me. I'm Gunther. I help people with any kind of recruiting question. Corporate recruiter by day, headless headhunter by night. So, if you got any more, put them in the chat. Be glad to help. Uh, this is what I do because people do not know how recruiters works, and I don't blame them. A lot of recruiters don't know how recruiters work. So I'm here to demystify the process and just explain it. My juniors are useless. Aren't they normally useless? That's why they're juniors and you have to train them and teach them. I would assume in IT, even people that are, uh, competent, it's going to take them a while to onboard. My uni juniors. What are uni juniors? Again, it's been a bit since I've been out of the college game. Oh, I'm old. Which also, that was my girlfriend apparently called me today, just like, hey, it's been over like a decade since we graduated college, and it's like, cool, cool. I didn't need that this early on a Tuesday, but it happened. So, oh, my juniors told them to join your stream like the batch after me. Oh, I appreciate it. Um, and they didn't. Yeah, no, that's fair. I expect not a lot. I'm going to actually make a little marketing thing for people to actually spread awareness later. That is one of my goals for the new year. But I'm sure that typically, you know what? I think that's actually a very good description of recruiters in general is people will never pay attention to a recruiter until they desperately need a recruiter. And at the moment, I do not believe they think they need one yet. And truthfully, they're not really probably going to get that many agency recruiters. Agency recruiters typically don't work with people fresh out of college. Again, there's an exception for every rule in recruiting, but on average, they don't. And what they would probably, this is going to be more career coaching than recruiting, but I think that is pretty same. You must have a big to-do list by now. Bro, I have a huge to-do list, which I'm going to be working. I just got some like website stuff that I'm working on that, again, I want to get that up before the end of the year or towards the end of it, and I'm moving. So, and it's also kind of tough to get content right now because, like, we're in the dead months. Like, not a lot of stuff is going to happen until January. And again, that's going to be like mid-January to late January. Realistically, by the second week of February, the floodgates of jobs should open. So, until then, it's kind of going to be just holding pattern. So, thank you. Gosh, that head pat emote. So, that's what it's going to be like for the job market until, again, I'd say mid-February. People are going to say, like, well, hold on, is the do you know what the job market's going to be then? And I wish I could tell you. I can predict 3 weeks in the future, and 3 weeks in the future is still in the dead zone for recruiting. So I'm probably not going to really know until January-ish because the market's not going to really open up again until February, and that happens every year. It's pretty common. People shouldn't panic. You will probably get very little interviews, very little callbacks, very little offers. Maybe some offers put on hold until the middle or early February of next year. This is just very, very normal in recruiting. I think seriously, if like every recruiter took a month off from like now, the market wouldn't change too much. Good time to take a class? Yeah, very, very much so. Uh, This is cool. I didn't know Twitch did that either. Yeah, I'd say this is a good time to take a class because it starts in November. That's where the boom happens, and then it starts petering out towards October, and then basically the week before us is when it starts to really slow down. So last week was when it started to really slow down. So yeah, this is a good time to take a class, I would say, if you can complete it. But you really want to be ready by, I'd say, mid-January. Realistically, it's going to be mid-February when the jobs come out, but some companies do their hiring stuff a little earlier, and you want to make sure you can catch it. So because every company is a unique snowflake, I can only tell you the broad one, so be prepared by, I'd say, the second week of January, but don't expect anything crazy until February early is a good way to do it. So, Otherwise, I just don't want you to be disappointed because you're going to be like, nobody's calling me back. It's like that's going to be normal at this time. Uh, Everything is chaos in recruiting right now. Everybody's on vacation. Companies start holding jobs. End of year stuff. They start going through their positions. So it's pretty common. We're just gonna be in a holding pattern until January. And I know the next question is going to be, well, Gunther, how do I get a job through that dead zone? And there's not really a good answer for that one. You're gonna have to apply like mad, and even then, however much effort you expend is going to be essentially a less return than it would in the next year. So I wish there was a good answer I could give everybody of like this is how to get a job during the dead months, but there's not really much you can do during it. Obviously, every industry is different, and I'm sure there are some industries that are hiring through the dead months, but in general, across multiple verticals, this is just going to be a slow time. So ad is about to start in 3 minutes, and I cannot snooze. So more effort to apply during January. Yeah, I don't think you should stop applying. To be clear, because again, I can't, recruiting is so different, and for every rule, there's 100 exceptions. I'm just going to try to give you the best shot. I would still apply, but don't burn yourself out because the actual sprint is coming well, between mid January and early February. So you should still apply now because also a lot of times when you apply now, it's going to go in a stack and they're not going to look at it until January. So you may get some callbacks from jobs you didn't even know or you thought rejected you then. So keep applying, but don't, make sure you are aware that you're probably not going to get a lot from that efforts, but it's still important to keep going. Just don't burn yourself out now because the real race is going to be in a couple of months. So I have good advice to take a holiday. You don't know when the next one is going to be, and you're going to need it. Yeah, I would say also that's pretty good. Like, I think you should always keep applying, but if there's any time for you to stop applying, it's going to be basically from like this week to January. But you should still apply a little bit because, a lot of other people give up too, and you want to be where the people aren't. So just make sure you're aware that you're not going to have as much results. It is not a reflector on yourself. It is just the market. It is very common. I've had multiple bosses say this. I have seen it. Other recruiters who've been in the business longer than me also know. It's just slow about this time of year based on business reports and holidays and everything else. The From last week till early January, mid-January, it just practically nothing gets done in recruiting. It's pretty much industry wide. I do want to know. I know there are obviously exceptions to this rule. I'm not sure what those verticals are. I'm assuming maybe sales positions specifically for the holidays. Black Friday sales associates and stuff. But I don't know of anything beyond that breaks that trend. I'm sure there are, and I'm actually be interested to know what they are. I just don't know off the top of my head. So that's definitely more effort to apply during January, and we're about to have an ad in about 30 seconds. I will try and give you the essentially yearly cycle of jobs, but again, it's going to really depend on your area, your location, your industry, and your skill level. But most of them sort of follow the same generalized path as nothing in this month, the next month, a ton. Then some flood back in June, and then September, and then everything else is normal. So it's pretty common. I just don't want people to panic. Gunther, I have a weird question for you if I'm interested. If you're going to, yeah, go ahead. We're probably going to get an ad shortly that I'm not able to stop, but hit me with it. Or just a weird thought. Go for it. I'm afraid of what this is. Okay, cool. You'll wait. All right. Oh, gosh, I hate when it says there's an ad. This is so weird. So, from my side, it says you have an ad in 3 minutes, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I only have a limited number of snoozes per stream, and it says, all right, your ad will begin, but now it's not beginning, and it's just so now anything I say now is just going to get cut off. And it's so weird because it's not accurate unless I press the ad button itself, and then sometimes no. So ads are confusing, and I wish I could turn them off. I wish it could be hourly. And I think there may be a way for do it, but I didn't set it up right. I think you still need the early ones. There it is. Okay, cool. Then I will be right back having a bio break. All right, and I'm back. Ha da da. So yeah, I like this. I'm not a huge fan of this person's bullets, but they are definitely 100% better than what the person had before. So, okay, wow, that's I don't I don't think I can help with life advice. I can do career stuff. So, do you realize that when your channel takes off, you're going to be a victim? Yes, actually, I have, and I'm okay with that. However, people want to enjoy my content, they can enjoy my content. So, I've accepted that, and whatever. I mean, whatever. As long as people enjoy my content, that's kind of the thing. I, again, my goals with this are to be educational and in basically funtainment. I want it to be both entertaining and educational. So if you learn something, I consider it a success, or if you just have some fun during it, I consider it success. Uh, I don't. I feel like that's an impossible task to do that. So no, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go into that because that's some legal stuff that I don't know, and I don't want to comment. So, but I don't know. I think it's when they start making money off of it is when it becomes a problem. But that's so far in the future and legal issues that I don't even know how I'd respond to it. So, uh, what kind of perks or jobs incentives are you looking for these days? This was totally made by an HR rep. I feel like in my heart this was made by an HR rep. I'm assuming people are just gonna say like money. Yeah, a reasonable commute, chaining benefits. Yep, agreed. You get one, pick your pick. That's pretty accurate. That's what I would say. Money and a boss. Not pizza parties. Like this was written in such a way that I feel like it was somebody. I don't even want to say HR. Like because I've met with HR people that are very in tune with the market and they're aware of what they can and cannot give and how to help with benefits package. So open the profile. What profile? Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. No, open the profile. All right. Let's see. What kind of perks or job incentives are you looking for these days? Okay, and then they also commented. This is such a weirdly rant. First off, this was made in September 2022. So this was at least a year old, and there are three posts, which is not, that's fair. But both of these made in the same one to both technology and jobs. So I'm assuming this is somebody who's hiring. Last one is 10 months ago. Yeah, and then the last one was just from A Knock at the Cabin, which I don't know what that is. I'm not a huge horror film person, so this was definitely made by. I don't even want to say recruiter, like somebody who was trying to get information, but like this was removed. Yeah, I don't blame them. They're trying to get information from this. So, not that that's bad. I mean, that's an interesting way to do it. But then I'd rather they learn how to get information than not. But that was definitely somebody who is trying to decide a plan and like what to give for people for a compensation. Which is a little bit over. Like I can help do compensation analysis, but like when you really break it down, all those like side gifts, people don't care too much. Most people don't apply because of them. I do know if I think one thing that I think people that companies do have that I think they should start mentioning more is pet insurance. I actually do know a lot of people that it probably would make a their change their opinion on applying if they had pet insurance. So if you do actually have pet insurance as a company, I feel like you should list that in the JD. So JD stands for job description, because there are definitely people that I think that would be very helpful for. So that's like a very Cali thing. Um, I know it's a very Cali thing for sure. I actually moved away from Cali, and then when I came back, there were animals in like grocery stores, which I'm super awesome because then I can get like oranges and I can pet a little puppy, and it's adorable. But I do know a lot of other places are essentially having some of the same things with pets. So I think actual pet insurance would be very helpful. And I do, just because it's good in Cali doesn't mean it's not good for other places. Uh, but yeah, pet insurance is one that's actually coming up a bit. Mainly because it's so expensive for kids that most people can't have kids. So, you know, Um, why not animal? Also, I've had dogs before and they're amazing. Uh, Puppies are great. Adult dogs are great. And old dogs are also great. I'm allergic to cats. Otherwise, I would have commented on them. Side note that is completely unrelated to this. Before I do this, is I really, really. So, did you know octopuses can live on land for about 5 minutes at a time? I really wanted to have an octopus for a pet and then keep multiple tanks around the house so that it could just sort of walk between the tanks. Will I ever do that? No, because that it's octopuses only live for about 2 years. They're not very long lived, and I could not get attached for that if that's how long they're going to live. And the mess, but that was a sort of kid dream of mine. Once I learned that fact, is to have an octopus walk around the house. So I always wanted. The world needs to catch up to Cali. Yeah, I agree. Cali has some very good things, but some other states have some really good ones as well too. Wanted to name it popcorn, and wanted to have kids eat popcorn. Okay, that's adorable. And a monitor literally. Those are big. All right, they're struggling to get offers. I'm a junior in electrical engineering. Well, that is your problem right there. You didn't graduate with 10 years experience. Unfortunately, that is the case. It's very difficult to get a position, quite frankly, right. Like, companies don't really train that much anymore. So that's not their fault. I said that sarcastically, just to be clear, but it's very difficult for someone new to the field, even with a degree, to actually get a job. So, okay. He's looking for an internship. Oh, got a couple looking for advice. I don't have student facilities for grade work. Okay, he doesn't. Well, this is the case where you would probably want to do project and work experience together because this looks weird. I would do contact information and then education up top, and then put your project and work experience in a bundle. Um, YOLO version 8? Is that really a thing for robotic? YOLO version 8. What is YOLO version 8? Uh, okay, it's a tracking software or something. But yeah, internships. I don't have a ton of experience getting people internships. I've only really worked on two internship roles, and they were so rare in the company that I tried to ask how they were paying, and it took me like 3 full days of work to get the information of that because it had been so long, and then HR had to actually remake the policy because it had been so long since they did the internships. Hey, Strawberry. So, shouldn't they remove their GPA from their? Oh, they have a 2.4. They have a 2.7. I mean, that's not like a 3.4, but that's like a solid B. 2.7. Also, if it's internships, uh, average grade. If it is a bunch of internships, I mean that's a meh B minus, but I mean they're gonna ask for that, right? Like I feel like they're gonna ask for that, and sometimes they don't care as much about the GPA, more about the stuff they've done. And this person also has been a like they're not phrasing it right, which is Phi Kappa Phi fraternity. But if they're actually leading in that, and they're members of these, and they're fluent in Spanish, I think that's pretty solid. I think they need to phrase it better. I still have to put in mind if it's lower than 3.5. I mean, I don't know. This is a part where Gunther doesn't have as much experience because again, I've only done like two internship jobs, and the company hadn't done them in years. So we had to. Half the struggle of doing that job was finding out how much we could actually pay the internship or interns, and that was such a logistical nightmare because we also wanted to help them with like room and board because they may be going from out of state. So that took a lot. We did end up hiring people, but I know like I posted the position and we actually had like 125 people apply in a week, and that was 3 years ago. Gunther's mind not working. I think that was 2.5 to 3 years ago. Has it been that long? No, no, 2 years ago. So yeah, it's I don't. I know how to structure a resume to look nicer. I don't know the actual impact of whether or not you should put a GPA that is below a B, or in this case, it's a B minus. Because I feel like if you're doing an intro, they would say that, like they would have to do it. But but again, their other stuff is very impressive. So maybe they don't want to put it in, but I don't know enough about how to make a resume for internships specifically about the GPA question because it never really came up with my managers. So internships can go anywhere from minimum wage to 30 an hour. Ours was like making more than me at the time, but this was an internship for like a PhD. And this company was a biopharma, so like that competition is pretty fierce. So they wanted to basically take the brightest, put them in an internship, and then hope they apply later on in their career. Uh, I think they were making like 38 an hour. Yeah, PhD is a very different game. It might have been more than 38 an hour. And again, they were like paying for them to, they were giving them like a stipend to live. It wasn't a lot, so it was like, it was a relocation thing as well. So it was like 38 an hour plus relocation. And it might have been more than 38. It's just been a while since I did that role. So I don't remember that exact number. How to find people open to work. Uh, okay, but I don't. Oh, this is a recruiter. Uh, this is more of a. Okay, I'm interested. Is anyone paying attention to OpenAI? Um, I am aware of what is happening, so I'm not able to speak about how effective OpenAI is. That is beyond my domain. But I can say that if you are making a product and that product is highly sought after. Everybody's talking about it, but it's very difficult to make, and not everybody knows how to make it to that specifications. You pretty much gotta bow down to the people that actually made that product because, like, if whoever like made the decision to not give that candidate what they wanted was a fool because like I'm I'm not even going to apologize. That was such a blunder. Like everybody that person was apparently such a good manager and knew their worth in the market that not only were they immediately snatched up by Microsoft, but a ton of people from their team was. And now the rest of them are threatening to quit, which even if they don't quit, realistically what they're doing is saying, "Hey, I worked on one of the most popular, sought after products in the last couple of years and I am open to work. I was directly under it and now your main competitor is gutting its own team who worked on it. Hire me." They basically put a bounty on their own head and waiting for the headhunters to collect it. So, uh it was a oof, one of those signed the position to reinstate him. Yeah. Uh I am sure that person right now is getting a ton of offers and they will choose whatever is the best for them. But I will say they may not be able to get him back. Uh, Partly because he's probably going to get a ton of offers and they're probably going to have to pay him more than they were. But the other thing is, once a candidate is burned by a company, they don't usually go back even if the offer is better. Uh, and I have noticed this in the candidates. Now, people can get fired. There have been layoffs and people come back. But if you directly fire somebody like that, especially if they have options, you kind of burned a bridge. So they're going to have to do some heavy pulling to get him back. Just from a candidate retention angle, yeah, even if the person is the CEO, yeah, it doesn't. I mean, yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, it doesn't matter what position. If you get laid off, you may not. People take it personally, right? That's more of an emotional thing than a business decision. Satya Naval is trying to get him reinstated. Yeah, uh, he may not want it, right? Like he may now have he has Microsoft who's just like, we're gonna make an offer immediately. He may not want to come back because they burned that bridge. Partly also because they may think that, if I come back, they're going to do it again. Uh, yeah, I don't. Well, just. Okay, they made him. Look, I have done these types of negotiations. Not at that level, but they're kind of similar. This man may not want to come back. This man now has his pick of the optimal place. And he has a pick of his team to come with him. If they bring him back, he is going to be making a lot more than he was. So, uh, I mean, some people are that good at leaders. Others, even okay, let me say this: even if he isn't the leader that 1,000 people would follow, this is more of a business strategy because they made it acceptable. They already know that Microsoft immediately wanted to snatch him up. And there's a big thing in corporations about following the leader. So now a bunch of other companies are probably looking, oh, we can snatch them up. And they're looking. They basically less so. Again, they may have followed him just because he's that good of a leader. I don't know. But I do know they put a bounty on their heads that basically says, hey, recruiters, make me an offer. So even if they were planning on leaving anyway, now they can exit even better. So that is what a lot of the employees, I bet, would do. And again, he may actually be that good of a leader that they would follow him through work and quit. But those people's jobs are probably pretty secure. Microsoft and OpenAI biggest investor. They want him on OpenAI. They're just holding on to him. Yeah, like this is going to be a candidate negotiation, and they're also going to be losing talent on the downstream because I bet you right now that a lot of those people that said they were open to work from AI to stand by that person already have offers or are interviewing in offers that would be better than what they have. And even if he comes back, those people may leave because there is a rule that you shouldn't accept a counteroffer from your own company, and that is a pretty solid rule. There's also the unspoken one of once a candidate gets an offer or is sick of a place, you kind of can't get them back. They're going to go. Have they ever come back? Yeah, but it's going to be a while. They need to, maybe like a year. Again, no, everybody's different, but as a general rule, I've had those. I even actually warned a manager once of like, hey, this person is going to leave, and he tried to fight tooth and nail to get HR to give them the pay. He couldn't. Candidate walked. So it happens. A recruiter is very, very good, especially an agency one, of knowing the symptoms of somebody who is going to actually go through with moving to another position and who is going to stay still. And there are a lot of warning signs a recruiter can give you about talent retention, even though they are part of talent attraction. So, yeah, lots of job openings at OpenAI, that's for sure. Reminds me of the last place I worked at. Ooh, do tell, Strawberry. We may be hit with an ad soon, but I do want to hear your story. A good recruiter can, especially a good agency recruiter, can tell you the signs of someone who's going to leave. And once they've made that decision, you're not going to get them back. Or you're gonna have to pay a ton more to get them back. I've seen it, and managers always try to do like the little bit, but like it's part emotional, part business decision, and once that has been made, it's real hard to unmake it. Mainly because I know I've not talked people into it, but like I've talked to people that were going through it, and then okay, this person is serious based on what they're doing. Like this company burned that bridge. They are really looking to leave, and we can tell how long. So don't piss off your top talent, y'all. It's the top talent can usually find positions under different places for possibly better. So don't piss off your top talent. This is coming from a professional headhunter who has headhunted people from places they've pissed off. It's pretty bad, especially if you see like someone that's saying like, oh, we're now going full time to return to office. Oh man, those candidates are easy to poach because you just be like, hey, yep, fully remote, join us, and they'll be like, yep. Oh, it wasn't recruiter related, just attrition wasn't completely good with people who were already employees, like a senior VP left. I think that is recruiter related. I think that is related to the general theme of the channel as well, Strawberry. When a company has attrition issues, could be some big problems, and it depends on where those problems lie. I was part of a company that was actually a very, very good one, but then actually had a ton of attrition issues. And I think they were planning on fixing it, but companies turn slow. They move very, very slow. So by the time they've identified the problem, it could be another 6+ months before they fix it. Yeah, honestly, first-time recruiters have huge attritions too. And another thing that actually I think, speaking of attrition, is recruiters typically only last in a position for about a year and a half. It's very rare. Like a year and a half is like 4 years to anybody else, but a year and a half to recruiters is like an equivalent of 4 years. Recruiters typically jump ship pretty often, partly because they get fired because companies downsizing, because they did their job so well and now there's too many people, so they let go of the person that was that good, or alternatively they know enough about the market to get themselves a better deal. So, but there is an amount of attrition that is acceptable in a company. Um, but typically, most company, like, I don't know the exact number for this, but I do know there's also a lot. Like, if you start getting into the double digits of attrition, things start to get dicey for companies, and then they need to usually be like, okay, why are they leaving? Yeah, horrible work environment. And I've written this before about the four main reasons people leave, which is pay, work, life balance. Again, pay no attention to the spelling. I am super dyslexic. Work the satisfaction and future. Like if the pay is good, everybody is going to have a different. Everybody has these like little bars. Oh yeah, I'm sure that was way beyond it, but like in my mind, every single candidate has these four bars. They're like four graph bars. Yeah, and they're different, and depending on the person is going to be what pushes them. And as soon as one of those bars gets too far, or two of those bars gets too far in their mind, they leave. So 1 4 at the most for that company. Yeah, you know, if the pay is not great, but the work life balance is great, the satisfaction of your job is great, and you think your future at the company is great, you'll probably stay. But if the pay is bad and the work life balance is bad, this stuff doesn't matter. And same with what you said, Strawberry, is like work life balance, satisfaction, future. Everybody values these differently. So every single candidate is, and even yourself, you can do this assessment, like which do you value more? Some people value some equally, some value some less, but yeah, oh yeah, and if all four are down, oh, that company's gonna have attrition issues so bad. But I basically make this in my mind. It's like, okay, their pay is bad, but their work life balance is good, and they're satisfied with the future. They may not make a move unless it's great. But if all this is bad, then I'm like, yeah, they're going to make a move at the first opportunity. So, people left during probation, yeah, that doesn't, oof. That's not good. When the people training, you're like, oh, this is definitely not worth it. So, but yeah, pay is not the over only factor, but it is a major factor. A couple of people were fired during the first week of training. Dude, how do you get like what causes being fired in the first week of training is brutal. Like I feel like that's like ugh. Yeah, I want to know. Like, did I'm letting you explain. Typically, if you get laid off, it's not your fault. Fired is usually one. I remember someone got fired for talking badly about the company. Oof. Yeah, you are, whether or not you agree with it or not, you are a representative of the company, and people can fire you for some of that stuff. So be careful about what you say online. And this is coming from the VTuber recruiter. But be careful about what you say online. It's why I try to keep this chat PG-13, because I don't want this getting out and someone getting fired. So, oh, financial services job. Eesh. But I will say, if you were guaranteed you want a job, find a company that has all of these at the lowest one, because they're usually always hiring. And if a company is always hiring, these are gonna maybe be some problems. So my batch was 50 to 60 people, including people who cleared CFA and people like me who are engineers and live a look at the balance sheet. Man, 50 to 60 people. Yeah, people say like recruiting is indicative of the company, and I don't agree with that, because a company that has phenomenal recruiting may just be so used to people leaving that their candidate attraction had to be so good. Some phenomenal companies have terrible recruiting practices. So I'm always hesitant to say that like recruiting is an overall reflection of the company, because it's not really. Some bad companies have great recruiting practices, and some terrible recruiting practices are attached to some phenomenal companies, mainly because they're so not used to hiring, they haven't had a chance to work on it. So, all right. Also, we're having an ad in 3 minutes, and I physically cannot stop it. I used my last snooze. So we had a test on the Gap manual at the end of the first week. The passing rate was 60%. I passed only because I had a good friend with some very smart people. It could copy off of them. Hey, as long as you pass, you pass. That's all that matters. One mark out of what? One mark out of three, Omni, or one mark out of like 12? Because that's a different. Also, welcome to the chat, everybody. I'm Gunther, the Headless Headhunter. I'm here to help you get a job, answer any recruiting questions. Just put them in chat. I'm here to help. Want your resume reviewed? I do that too. Basically, anything about the job search you need, I'm here to help. So, I think the passing was like 60 out of 100. Oh, that's brutal. That one is brutal. But yeah, Strawberry and everybody, every single candidate has this bar graph in their mind. And when some of these get too low, and it's different for everybody, that person is going to leave. So the offer was given a year ago. That's brutal. So for hiring managers, make sure these are taken care of. And every single candidate is going to attach a different value to these numbers. Some people only care about one, others only care about two. Usually it's a combination of all of them in certain ones, but you always got to pay attention to this. And if they see a future with the company, if they are satisfied with their job, if they have good work-life balance and good pay, they should be fine. But typically, happy people don't usually look. You can headhunt them, but you typically have to offer them an offer they can't refuse. Essentially, this is not my story, but there is another one who basically went up to somebody and said, actually, no. This was one of the managers I worked for. Who how they got recruited at the company was they're like, I'm not looking to move, and say, okay, what would you move for? And like, what? What is the amount of money that would get you to move? And she answered, and they gave it to her, and she moved to that company. So that is something that can definitely happen, which is more on the agency headhunter side. If you are headhunting for a company that is below market value and pay, you may have a bad time. I That's a tough one, but it is something that is still manageable, depending as long as these. But if your company you're recruiting for has all four of those down, oof, that's a tough one. And you may not actually find somebody who the people want. Actually, I would say, quite frankly, if none of these are there at the company, you can talk to the manager and let him know, like, look, you right now you want a steak, but you only have Burger King money. You're gonna have to lower your expectations given the market, and sometimes they will, and you can make a higher because you have to give what the company's willing to work with. So, but I'm probably going to end the stream. Oh, we just had an ad. I don't like ending the stream during an ad. I'll probably end it about 15 minutes. So, mainly because, again, it has been, you know, a tough stuff. Oh, wow, that was a lot. Okay, hold on. You're going to get an ad, Maslow, but I will answer that after the ad if I get cut off, so do not worry. I am in a situation where I volunteered to quit my last job around December 2021. I took a family member until they fully recovered. During that time, I also took on a full-time web development program on the side from August to June. I want to know on my resume experience, should I show my last role in 2021 or include the role where I took care of my family member? I wouldn't put it on there. I don't think it helps too much. Realistically, I need, of course, the ad. I will answer after the ad. Short answer, that is something you may say in the interview, but I would typically leave it off your resume. But I would need to see your resume overall to give you a better, better what? Better advice. Uh, so short answer, yeah. Long answer is it's going to depend on your overall resume and experience. So. So yeah, and we're coming back in 2, 1, hopefully now. So yeah, Maslow, I will say this. It's going to depend on your overall experience and your resume. Typically, I would leave that out of the resume, but when they ask you, what is the gap for, you can say essentially I was the primary caregiver for a family member during this time. So it is something I think you could say in the interview to basically say, like, I was caring for a family member, and then you do want to make sure you note that that is taken care of and it will not occur again. You don't want to say those exact words, but you want to make sure they know that, like, this was a one-time thing and now you're looking to get your career back on track. So my last industry, advertising design. I was in talks with a recruiter recently, and she said it may be tough since I didn't work since 2021. It may be, quite frankly, but you're gonna really see towards January. You started in June, and I say you really only had like one good month this year of recruiting because of the market. Like September was when the jobs started to actually come back, but then we hit into the winter months. So a couple interview screenings, so I'm not sure if the gap matters. I would say since you're okay, I just threw my Fitbit across the room. So give me a second. Oh, it landed on packing paper. That was fortuitous. All right. So I will say this. The way to answer this question is going to be with a separate question for me. So getting a couple of interviews could be very important, or it could be very not important given the matter. So I'm going to say this. Approximately, in the last couple of months, how many applications have you sent out per month? Average, all right? I'm just looking for a ballpark estimate. And then, how many interviews have you had since you started that process? So so about 100 a month, okay? So per month, right? Per month, on average, how many interviews do you think you have? That is going to determine it a little bit more, because 100 a month is not a ton. And 2 to 3, okay. I would say your resume is probably pretty good. If you have anything, I'd say under 50, it's solid. But if you have 2 to 3 interviews a month, that's like 50 to 33, give or take. So for every 33 applications to every, that's pretty solid. So I'm not saying your resume can't be improved or it can't be better. I would say that's actually pretty solid. What you do need to do is start pumping those numbers up. Which, admittedly, now we're in the winter session, so it may not matter now, but come January, you're going to want to try to apply to about 75 applications per week. Yes, I did say week. Now you're probably not going to do that because we're doing the winter months, but when the jobs come back, that is your goal, is you want to do about 75 a week. And if you do that, that means you're probably going to have about an interview and a half a week. Again, these are averages and the market can swing, but this is about what you want to aim for. But since you were getting 2 to 3 interviews a month at 100 resumes, applications, that's not bad. Yeah, I think your issue is volume, not quality. Again, without seeing it, I would know, but if you need help with that, we can work on a Boolean search. Probably not today because I'm tired, and it's getting towards the end. It's been a long week, but I could do that tomorrow if you would like. So if you wanted me to just take a quick look, just fill this out, put in that information, and then remind me next stream. Tell me who you are, and I will help with that. We'll do that during the next stream, which is going to be tomorrow at 5:30. So that is what I would recommend for that. But yeah, volume is probably your issue, not resume. Because realistically, the first thing you want to do in a job search is make sure you have jobs to apply to. If you have a phenomenal resume and you only apply to like 5 jobs a week, you're probably not going to get a position as much as somebody who's going to apply to like 100 jobs and has a more mid resume. Now, again, saying that, we're in the winter months, so you may not actually be able to find that many applications to apply to, considering the time of year, but come January, that's what you're really going to do. Well, when does the job market go up? So, again, because I can't be in every industry simultaneously, I'm giving broad stroke average answers. I would say by the 3rd week of... I would say this. Start Second week of January is my like conservative approach, but probably the second week of February is when we will be in full swing. Uh, by I'd say March, April, it's probably going to go back down to normal year levels. But between the about second week of January and the beginning of February, that's when the floodgates open. And every industry is going to wake up from their hibernation a little bit different. So I can't give an exact because some industries may wake up on, like the fourth week of January, while others may work on the third of February or the first of January. But uh, I don't know how it's going to be for this year, but I would say probably second or third week of January. Because again, it's been IT's been a bit weird, but it is waking up. So we're gonna see. Now, again, I can only predict 3 weeks in the future. This is how industries have been trending the last bajillion years. I mean, not bajillion, that's ridiculous, but so I would say basically start really focusing January 1st just to be an early bird, but you're probably not going to get a lot of feedback until late January. So in the beginning of January, first work week, start applying like it's normal. That way, whenever your industry does wake up, then you'll be ahead of the game. So, because tech industry this year, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the market's going to be, and then you also consider tech is such a broad term now, because company like the Gap needs IT people. They have a website. Then there's fintech, and then there's actual like software engineering, and then there's data architecture, and then there's it's such a broad one. I mean, for software engineers, I don't truthfully remember because it's been about a year. But I would say pay attention in the very first week of January. Just don't get sad if you don't get any feedback until the first week of February, okay? Act like it's normal in the first of January, but lower your expectations on a interview back until the month after. Okay? That would be my advice because you should still apply. It's just people when they don't get a lot of response want to know if like am I doing something wrong? And the answer is no. You're probably not doing anything wrong. You're just setting yourself up for success when the market wakes up again. So you want to do it early to before anybody else does it. So that would be my recommendation. And again, keep applying, but don't burn yourself out because the actual sprint's coming in January. So that's when you want to be really fully awake and aware. So do what you got to do that. Um, but yeah, I would say, let's see. Is there like a big old month calendar? This month? Is there like a what? I know this is really dumb, but okay. Time and date. Would it be too early to apply since I'm just a new workplace? Never too early. You want to be the first people to apply. Your goal is to be the first because if 150 people apply, realistically, only the first 25 are going to get looked at, unless all those first 25 are not accurate. So you want to be the first to a job. That's why I also recommend that people use in the job search, try to do it for, I'm just clicking on a random one to show you. Let's see, social media, United States, Cincinnati, whatever. Date posted, try to do the past week. Uh, Oh, sorry. Would it be too early to apply since I'm? Oh, that's what you want. Thank you, Omni. No, yeah, no. Do it. Quite frankly, in the interview, they will say like, "Hey, what's going on?" You can just say, "The workplace was not as it was described in the interview. I think the people are great, but the culture is was not accurately described, and it's not for me." That's fine. You can keep applying. Don't let that stop you. Uh, people make mistakes. I mean, you could also say, quite frankly, that like I, based on the job description, I thought I would really like this position. I needed something. I should have been more careful. I shouldn't have started this position in the first place. Everybody's really good. It's just like the work life balance or blah 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 isn't for me. So don't. And honestly, here's the other issue that you could do is if you leave that job, you could just not put it on your resume background checks don't, it's not going to matter. Like, if you leave something off your resume is a bigger difference. Okay, so there is a big difference from leaving off a job that you did and putting on a job that you never did. You can kind of leave stuff off your resume. Um, that's they're only going to be judging based on what's on your resume, so make sure it's accurate. But if it's not helping you, you can kind of leave it out, unless it's something really big, which my mind is blanking on what that could be, but I'm sure there's some stuff. So I'm too tired to apply anywhere for a while. That's fair. But yeah, also do your best to use the past week um, feature because you want to get there early. Because like this job was posted 4 days ago and there's 98 applicants. That recruiter may not go through 98 applicants. May only go. We typically go through from our first of the list, which is usually date applied, and until we get enough people, and then we pause. So you want to be first to apply to a job. So yeah, I mean that's good that you're happy there. Other than the commute, I mean the commute is pretty big, and that does affect over here with the work-life balance. But right now you're not leaving because 1, 3, and 4 are there. But if two isn't, now I will say if one of these others goes down, you will probably start looking. But you could also see that since the commute is bad, and you may plan on being there if you wanted to get another apartment in the area, which is kind of or alternatively, Omni, you can ask if they have flex time. You can say, hey, I really like this job. The commute is a little more brutal than I thought. Is it possible for me to do some flex time? Okay, yeah, then flex time is really good. So, I that is one of the things. Not a lot of people always ask for that, but it is something that can be done. And I know some managers have been like, yeah, we want them there. They can come in at 9 as long as they leave at 6 or whatever. So, but yeah, back to Strawberry again. Don't worry about being in a job for X amount of time. So, when you should start to worry is if on your resume it shows 6 jobs in 4 years. That's going to be an issue right there. But a single outlier is not usually going to hurt you that much. So again, everybody's different, and there always may be some jerk who's like, a single person, they left instantly, they're out. But as long as it is an isolated case, it's fine. You don't want to make it seem like it is a pattern. That will get you rejected faster than anything. So managers absolutely hate job hoppers, but they are more okay with people that have not been employed for a while. That was not the case a couple of years ago, but I'm starting to see them start to wake up to the fact that, yeah, the economy's been pretty brutal and it's kind of tough to maintain a job now. They'll consider 2 days in instead of 3 for me soon. Awesome. I am glad they are working with you. So, that is good. Yeah, it's layoff city in tech companies. Yeah, it really is. And there'll always be people that will judge based on it, but I will say the zeitgeist right now is a bit more accepting. But job hopping, that's like a no-no. They will never like job hopping. But being laid off and out of work for a while, that is okay. And I think even the fact that Maslow, I'm dyslexic, so I'm going to butcher this. Maslow, they were out of work since 2021, but they're still getting interviews. So it's less bad to be out of work, but again, don't so that you're a job hopper because those are very different things. Job hopping and being out of work are very, very different things to a hiring manager. So just ask me to take a week off in December. Oh, cool. Even though, yeah, I mean, people will work with you. Again, some managers won't, but if they like you, they will try and work with you within the system. So, all right. Well, I'm going to end the stream soon. Once I get the next commercial break, it's going to give me about 3 minutes left, and I'm going to end it then. So that will be my goal, so you all don't have to sit through another commercial break, unless nobody has any other questions. So, but I'm actually doing my normal time here. But yeah, I'm going to start creating how important is adding dates for education? As long as it's clear you graduated. So here's a little bit of a trick you can do with this. This is the one where you don't need to do dates, but I would say keep the dates for Brain. Oh, Gunther, what were you trying to think of? Brain. It is late and you were tired, but there was a point you had in that mind of yours. Um, it is. You want to keep the resume in the same format, and since you are using the dates for your other jobs, you should use the months. And again, you don't need to put the days, just the month. So if you graduated, just put graduated 2023. That's fine. Uh, but ideally, you would put like December 2023 or whatever. So I would put graduated in the month and the date. Uh, so again, without seeing your resume, I may not be able to do all of it from here because there's a lot of different things that can make a difference. So, am I moving too much on my screen? Okay, never mind. All right. So, I would say just to keep the format, that is something you do want to do is you want to keep the format the same for everything. It's very, very helpful to just, from a look perspective, to keep the format the same. So, and if you're adding months to your uh, dates of employment, you are probably going to want to do the same for education. Uh, in addition, make sure that you don't put like January on one side and then 2020, like, I don't know, 7 2023 on the other. Make sure if you're using the name, you keep the name. If you're using this abbreviation, you're doing this. Either one, doesn't matter which you use, just make sure it is all the same from a formatting perspective. In addition, you want to make sure that everything is in the past tense. My old boss told me this, and I think it's a good thing. I've gone back and forth about like keeping the tense the same, but even if it's your current job, it's sort of both impersonal and good to keep it past tense. So, instead of I am a, I would say instead of worked, you want to do worked instead of work. So past tense is important for the resumes. It just makes it look neater and more professional. I don't know why it does that with brains, but it does. So, and any other questions, Maslow? Again, I will be back tomorrow at 5:30. Anytime. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, 5:30. I basically stream till I get tired because I do this after my 40-hour work week. January, I'm probably going to be streaming more and more often. But until then, we're probably only going to get an hour or less, or an hour or two streams every Tuesday, Wednesday at 5:30 PST. Did you watch the Scott Pilgrim show? No, not yet. I will probably. There's a lot of shows I want to catch back up on. As lame as this is, Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated I'm watching. I hated Scooby Doo as a kid, but the new one was actually kind of interesting. So I don't know. Everybody loves Scooby Doo, and I actually hated it until like literally like last year. And I'm like, you know what? They made some interesting movies. This is an interesting take on the show that I always hated. I would be try to. I just found I don't have there's a lot of reviewers who will say a lot of different things. I honestly don't know. I just found it boring. None of the jokes landed for me. I didn't think it was mysteries. More like, there's no way you'd either never guess it or it's very obvious from the get go. And I just didn't find it funny or entertaining. I know that is not the case, and I'm in the minority. I'm not saying Scooby Doo is bad. It just wasn't for me. No, no, the ad. It snuck up on me. No. Okay, I'm going to go a little longer then. I don't want to end on an ad. Why? It didn't even give me a warning. An ad and Omni pops up. I'm sorry, Omni. Your ears are sacrificed for my content. Why did I watch Blue Eye Samurai first? Uh, oh my gosh. I need water too. Whatever. I'm gonna end the stream shortly. I don't like ending on an ad. That Van Gogh. Yeah. Oh yeah. definitely like Van Gogh. I don't know. I wish I could give you a better. I'm not going to end the stream on an ad. I don't like doing that. But I just never liked it. None of the jokes landed. But the new take on it was really interesting. Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated, and I'm some of the jokes are kind of funny, but it's actually engaging to me. So I don't have a good reason for it. And then there's anything else. I mean, I'm watching obviously like Invincible. Everybody is. I read the comics actually when they came out originally, but I never finished the series, so I'm very excited they got a Netflix adaptation. Is there anything else out there that I've been watching? What else is new now? I know there's some like new stuff that I've been watching. Helk is a really good anime, so I will look that up on I will do that after this stream. I'm putting in a note to look up Blue Eye, whatever this is. Blue. I keep thinking you're saying Blue Eyes White Dragon, but Hell of a Boss. I really like their musical recently has been amazing, and I really think honestly you're gonna see a lot of TikToks of people singing the song from that show when they quit. It is. I swear to you, when I saw that, my recruiter part went, "Oh, we're gonna see TikToks of this from the Hell of a Boss song." The 2 minutes notice, 2 minutes notice. That is gonna be on like everything. Uh, it's going to. I actually never had a TikTok, but now I have to have one because I am a content creator. So that is what we need to do. Um, but yeah, 2 minutes note. First off, Hell of a Boss is amazing. You should watch it. It's on YouTube. It's getting a Netflix. One of its sister series is getting an Amazon adaptation, but you should watch Hell of a Boss. It's great. It's hilarious. There's a bunch of imps in hell, and they run an assassination business, and it's hilarious and moving and heartwarming, and the music is phenomenal, and it's a musical. It's Hell of a Boss. It's from the same person that did Brain Has Been Hotel, which is coming out from Amazon. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I usage went up from 2 hours to 10 minutes a day just by removing it from my homepage. That is how that works. Yeah, it's on. It's on. There's a ton of them. There's like 2 seasons. It's phenomenal. It's very foul mouse. Yep, VizPop. That's her name. You know, my end goal would be to like recruit for VizPop because I feel like, ah man, I don't know. I love what they're doing. I really love musicals, and you don't get a lot of like musical TV shows because they're not usually possible. Not usually popular. Like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was great for that, and then there was Gallivant was really good. But I'm very happy that there is like an adult animated musical show that is coming out, which is both on Amazon, Has Been Hotel, and Hell of a Boss, which has gone for 2 seasons on YouTube. Because that is some of my favorite stuff, but it's not, and they've made it popular. So I'm hoping we're going to see imitators, and we're going to get more of them, because I really, really, really love it. I don't know if it's a genre, really, but just musical TV shows are pretty rare, just in general. Like, shows will have a song, but Gallivant also, like, if you want an older show that's amazing, Gallivant is amazing, and the other one I said, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, those are all musical shows. Musical adult animation is super niche. Yeah, it kind of is, and they actually do it in the Disney style of songs. Like the Hell of a Boss one, it's basically like a Disney princess, but they are the ruler of hell, and they're trying to help people. So it's an interesting thing, and I really really like it. But they definitely have a lot of musical stuff, and I'm not good enough to like identify the musical elements, but I really really love musicals, and adult musicals on TV shows is just it's very rare, truthfully. Like, they're not popular, and they rarely get more than a season. I am very shocked Gallivant had 2 seasons. That was one of my favorite. It was hilarious, and I really wish it had 3, or whatever it was. It ended, and it was great. Especially, Gallivant is a show that is in a rarity, in that if you do not like the first 5 minutes, literally set a timer for 5 minutes once it starts, and if you do not like it after that, you will probably never like the show. It is not one that like you need to watch hours of to see if you like it. If you don't like the first 8 minutes, You won't like the rest of it. If you like the first 8 minutes, you will like the rest of it. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a bit different. I didn't even know it was a musical show until, but Crazy Ex-Girlfriend has amazing songs. So, and a very good depiction of mental health in a way. So, I feel like Doom Patrol is probably better. So anyway, that since I'm essentially just ranting about TV shows that I've watched, I think that is a very good ending, and hopefully an ad doesn't sneak up on the middle of it. But I am Gunther, the Headless Headhunter, and I'm here to help y'all get a job and just entertain and educate. That is my goal, and I will be here tomorrow, every Tuesday, Wednesday, 5:30 PST. Till when? Till I get tired. So, Thanksgiving and happy birthday. Yes. So basically, in till I get tired. So starting at 5:30 PST every Tuesday, Wednesday. Good night, everybody, and happy birthday. Whose birthday? Wait, whose birthday is it? Whose birthday is it? You know what? Everybody's birthday. This is a group birthday. Um, oh, is it really your birthday? No, Omni. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that is still coming up, but happy early birthday, my friend. I will talk more Thanksgiving tomorrow. I'm glad. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you all tomorrow, or not, because it's your birthday and you may want to do something else, which I totally get. So, later, all. I hope the job offers are plentiful and the interviews not stressful. Night.